Oh, actually, just go ahead and stay there.
Oh,
And then I got a little plan. So
Okay.
everybody wants to sort of move in this way.
get over here, everybody.
Alright, so this is a supply duct.
Mm-hmm.
We got HEPA filters inside there. And in front of those, we have the distribution wands for the steam generating humidifiers. So you see those metal tubes up in front of the humidifier?
Kind of, but
Or-
it's back there, right?
Yeah, you
back
see,
in there.
see
Okay.
the metal tubes right here?
Just say yes. If
You see them right there in front of. If you stand right over, you can come
if
over
you're
my
if
way.
you're
Come on.
if you're in my
Come
direction.
on my direction. Don't be shy. See that steel tube right there? That is the distribution. See how they got holes in them?
You could kind
Okay,
of see.
yes.
Yes, that is the distribution wand for the steam generator. Okay, so those are vertical discharge. So what happens is they come out of the steam bath right here, comes up to that steam header, runs down the steam header, and then the steam rises up into the vertical distribution wands. Whatever steam is not used, it condenses and it goes into that trap, right, in the form of water. And that other tube going down is the drain. Once the steam collapses and it condenses, it comes in and it comes down here.
So we drain it all the way down. We don't reuse it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's on the supply side. Moving over to here, this is our blower compartment. Right in here, you pull those bolts and that acts as your blower compartment. The blowers in there, they're direct drive, the reverse incline motors. Okay. And then in here, we've got a control cabinet. We've got a transformer, the fuses for the blowers, the CTs. Those are the CTs from the control system. And up here, I have the light
Cool.
for the service guys.
That's nice.
Okay, this relay is for the building automation to tell to enable. Right here is our low temperature alarm. What this is for is if everything fails, it's the steam fails, the heat fails, outside air damper is stuck open, and the coil temperature gets too cold, that'll manually trip this out. What that'll do is then shut off the fan and open up the hot water coil 100%. So that doesn't burst the coil. This is a discharge air temperature sensor. This is the airflow station. So what this monitors is supply airflow. It also monitors the return and the exhaust as well. Okay, so you get a true reading of what you're doing. Inside of here, with your UV lights. So there's a safety switch here. So when this door shuts, it'll allow it to run and so that it's not on while guys in there.
Don't bring that.
This bulb obviously is a UV bulb. Those need to be replaced.
No,
And then
no.
this is the power generator. It won't start.
Oh.
This is the power generator for the UV, and this is the air proving switch for the system. Okay. Questions on that? That bulb does need to be replaced. Now, whether it needs to be every year or every 5 years is again how many hours it's running. Depends on how the amount of debris that gets on it. Depends on that kind of thing.
Does the system notify if the bulb goes out?
No.
So you just have to kind of set it as a
It
regular
should be a
maintenance?
regular maintenance, should be a line item anyways. You'd want to have them as a line item.
So that's in addition to the filter, after it passes through filter, it goes through this UV light?
Yes, so the airflow is going this way. So it comes through the filter across the coil and then through the UV light and then up. Okay, so we got chill water, hot water is in the coil inside here. So we come over here.
Here, guys, yeah, go over there a little more.
We've got a chemically treated coil, so it's got the coating on there for microbiological growth inhibitor. It also has a chemical resistance that's by black,
No Legionella.
so it'll take and prevent chemical from attacking the coil as well. We've got the mixed air temperature sensor from the building automation system, and then we have
You're
obviously
right,
the
you
filters. So these filters are the ones that you're really gonna have to pay attention to, because it might be, because they're filtering outside air as well, right? So these filters you might have to replace quarterly, you might have to replace more than that, depending on what the outside air is like, okay? But you're definitely you'll get a feel for it, you know, what's gonna be done. Obviously, quarterly would be ideal, monthly would be better, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. And the reason why I say monthly is because you got all these HEPA filters in there. So the more often you change these, the longer the HEPA filters will last. And the HEPA filters are where the money's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So the
These
next.
are the little Home Depot Lowe's filters.
Yeah.
You can go grab.
Right. Yep.
Glass box, okay.
And you can actually put in a 4-inch filter if you wanted to, if you feel
Okay.
that would be better for you guys. That might be more like a, hey, we're changing these every month. Maybe we put a 4-inch filter in and we can get it, 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Or does it have?
It has a slide.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you can do either
It
or.
has- You can
Yeah.
expand, okay.
Right, yeah, yeah, so you can do either or. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next compartment. This gives you a view again of the whole thing, but what we're looking at on these is this is the return air damper. This is the outside air damper. Okay. The thing that I told the guys, just so you know, if we're into really, really, really cold weather and you guys are like having a trip, or you guys are having, hey, as soon as it comes out of unoccupied, if you ever do unoccupied, it immediately trips or it causes an issue with the low temperature alarm. It's because this is a direct shot to your mixed air right there. So as soon as this comes in, it's gonna hit that coil. It'll be very cold. Okay, so just keep an eye on it, see, and there's ways of doing that. You can put a delay on the building automation, so you can say, hey, this alarm trips, but I wanna hold it for 30 seconds, right? So that way it says, hey, yeah, there's a cold, but then 30 seconds later it's fine, right?
Okay.
So that way you're not getting alarmed, right? The guys have a manual override, so they can take and test the operation of the dampers. All they would do is take this, and they can see how the dampers are moving. It's nice because they can come in here and test them, make sure they all work, make sure they close, make sure they open, right? The thing I told them though is wherever you set it, that's where it stays. So it might open more with the signal, but it's not going to go any less, right? So they got to make sure to put it back to 0. Okay. The same thing with the outside air, same exact thing.
So this has the capability to pull 100% outside air, because I know that was something big with AHU and COVID.
Yes, right. Yeah. Now, again, I don't know what design spec they said, right? But it does have the. So I'm just going to go a little down a rabbit hole, just so you got it from an engineering aspect. Most rooftops are not rated for 100%,
Yeah.
right? They're rated at 80%, right? So they can handle 80% of the outside air. They can never handle 100. So they say they may have 10 tons of cooling, but they're still going to have that 80-20 rule. Okay. These are normally sized up because they are sized for 100% because we do a lot of applications where it's 100% makeup air, right? But this is the but part. What's beyond that, I do not know. Meaning, did they size the coils for that? Right? That's the question that was done, right? That's where the engineering comes into it. The question: Can this handle the full CFM? Yes, it can. I can definitely deliver you the right amount of air. It's a question of the rest of it can handle it, right? Okay. So that's my disclaimer on that. This is the exhaust duct up here, and this is the exhaust actuator. Okay. That is that's an external one, right? Okay. Questions on this so far?
So it's 3 stages. Is this three different stages? I see the filters.
They're modules, but there's a pre-filter. I call this the pre-filter section, right? Because that's pre-filtering the air, right? And then you got your coils, then you got your UV, and then you got your HEPA filters at the end, right? That's why I said this filter here, you would typically might have another set of filters out here for outside air, right? The metal washable GPE, whatever filters. This sort of is here with the other ones. That's why I said it's up to you. Again, you might find it easier to do the 4-inch and maybe change them less. Right? That's your call. However you want to do that. Okay. So we're gonna go around the corner, and you can just back up back there, cause it's gonna go right down the line here.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna see it? I know we just stayed back here and pointed everything out. This is the water bath for the humidifier, the steam generator humidifier. That top needs to be popped off at least once a year, and at least looked at.
I'm gonna, yeah, let me get this stick here. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so that's the steam generator for, obviously, the humidifier that we were talking about before. Those need to be at least checked out once a year.
Uh-oh, what's this?
UV bulb, it looks like.
I'm just gonna take it out because I don't like leaving it in. Anyway, oh, it's broken.
Looks like somebody busted it already.
Interesting.
Alright, so we've got the steam generator right there. We've got the header coming off, so you pop that top. I told the guys, make sure you got a gasket. Now, whether you need that gasket or not, just so you got it. Normally, the guys that don't look at it for 5 years, that's when they need a gasket, right? Because it's baked on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it every year, normally you can pop it off and you're okay. Again, it's going to drain down, it's going to flush itself, but at the end of the day, it's only on one end. It's not on both ends. So there's going to be sediment in there, and it needs to be cleaned out.
Is there a bleeder? Like a bleeder?
There is. There is a flush. There is a bleeder on the end, and so every amount of they have a setting in there of how many cycles you want, and then it will flush itself.
Okay.
So it actually flushes the amount of water out of it, right? To flush it out. Again, I just say to look at it.
Okay.
To say, hey, we're doing our job, or making, because what happens is a lot of guys look at it and they're like, oh, I don't need to do anything. And then 5 years later, they got this much sediment because something didn't flush right, didn't work right, right? So obviously, just like everything else, we need mechanical needs to be looked at. Behind you is a pot feeder. This blue container, that's for filling in your central chemicals to your system, your closed loop. Steam, I don't know what you're in.
We have one for the chiller as well. Yeah.
Back here, the black pumps, those are your circulating pumps. On those are magnetic seals on the pumps. So if they start leaking or bleeding, you might want to look at them, and you'll take them apart, and there's a magnet in there. So they're metal instead of ceramic and rubber. So you can actually take them apart, you can clean them out with your finger, and put them back together, and normally they seal right back up.
Really, that's simple.
They're
with
very
your
nice.
finger?
Those pumps are really a nice little product.
Okay, go.
There's 2 caps on there on each one. You see the red cap, those are grease. I told the guys one
I see.
to 2 pumps. That's it. No over greasing.
Okay.
That's max. 2 pumps is even probably a little much. But
What
one
happens
is,
when you overgrease?
what happens is you'll blow out the seal in the bearing, and it ends up in the motor, and then once it ends up in the motor, it ends up killing the motor.
Okay.
That's why I said do not over grease them. Okay?
So are one of these pumps like standby, or should they both be running? I guess.
For redundancy?
That I do not know if they did.
Oh, primary, secondary kind
Yes,
of
I do
situation?
not know
Okay.
how they designed it. They're tied together.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would assume normally, again, this is assumption,
Yeah.
right? That they would have a primary and secondary
Yeah.
if needed.
Yeah.
I do not know that though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming that this one pump will carry the load,
Yeah.
and then that pump will be a backup, but I do not know that.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of places seem to be running them together, and because they're running them off of VFDs,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's up to your operation or the sequence of operation you guys generated.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Is that vague enough for you?
No.
Is that an engineer's answer?
that-
You can do whatever you want. No. The above your head there, that silver canister, that is a cartridge filter. Those are super nice. I like those a lot. That's your makeup water canister. Those I recommend looking at them at least changing them once a year. With new construction, you might want to do it at 6 months just to be on the safe side. Hopefully you're not making up that much water, and then after the first year you can probably get 2-3 years out of it. Above your head, that black little cap, right
Like it.
right there, right here.
Oh,
Okay. That's a screen inside there. That's your water fill valve. Okay? So that water fill valve has a little screen. You pull that, you shut off the water here, you take that little black cap off, and there's a screen in there that needs to be cleaned, and that has to be done once a year. Okay? Right above their head, people, I'll call it a Rollatrol, air scrubber. There's a number of names for that, right? Down the bottom, there's a drain here. So once a year, there will be sediment that forms in the water that will drop out. You take a bucket, you take a hose, you flush that out to where it's clear, and make sure that all the sediment gets drained out there. What that does for you is a couple of things. One, it'll make sure that this valve right here, the pressure reducing valve, works, because you'll be releasing water from the system, right? So then that valve should kick in and should fill up. And two, you'll hear a little percolator out of your air vent, because it'll have a little bit of air in there, and you'll be like, you'll hear that, and then the water valve will be filling up.
That's nice.
That's a good little test. Okay? If those don't happen, then you might want to investigate and look at those. If you look down to the far right, you got a Grundfos expansion tank. It's buried in the back corner there with a yellow label on the front.
Oh.
It's got a little pressure gauge on it.
Yeah.
That is your expansion tank.
It's like,
On the front of the expansion tank, you have a indicator. It'll say bladder indicator. And what that is for is if the bladder goes bad or starts to leak, it'll change colors and let you know that that is not a good thing. Also, the pressure may stay the same, but there's a pressure gauge in the front there as well. Okay?
okay.
Again, I told everybody for those, isolate there's an isolation valve on it, leave the pressure, so there's a normal union on top, you break the valve off, or break that and make sure it's open. Take your tire gauge, and there's a tire gauge, put it on there, make sure everything's good. Okay, and that would be the pressure, so it's atmospheric pressure open of whatever you run at. So if you run at 25 pounds of pressure, that tank needs to be at 25 pounds. Okay? What happens is those things leak sometimes, the Schrader leaks, and it gets down to like 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then what happens is you start waterlogging. The expansion tank may not be bad, but there just needs to be pumped up. Okay, that's why I say check them. Above that, CER1, that's your exhaust fan. That's your exhaust fan and return fan. So on the far left of it, there is 4 bolts that you can pull off, and there is access to the motor and to the blade. Again, once a year, pull it off, check it, make sure the blades are intact, make sure the motor spins freely, that the bearings aren't going bad. All that, okay? Then put the cover back on and put it back into service. On the wall behind you is the VFDs. There's for the pumps, the exhaust fans. Okay, I'm assuming it's a supply fan, but we'll find out.
We'll find out.
And on those, I told them that it's a local company. Yaskawa is actually a local. There's a local service office in Vernon Hills. And you can call them, they're phenomenal tech support. So if you have any problems, the normal one that we see is base block, it'd be BB on there. What that normally means is there's some interlock that's open. Maybe they got an air proving switch or alarm with the temperature not allowing it to run. That's the normal one, or current overload. If we have a storm, might have a issue with that. I know you probably got generators here, so probably clean power, Delta bar, so I would assume. But there's some assumption there. It is Chicago, so I know. And that's pretty much about it. Everything, I take that back. On top there, you see where it says steam, and then above there, there's a little air vent on the, that's your exchanger. So what that does, it exchanges the steam to hot water. So that's a tube and tube exchanger, and yeah, it's in the back on the top there. Right, same thing. All that is that's what all these valves are for, is so that they can take and control the temperature of the water and how much steam we're using there.
I'm so lost. Let me ask that one more time. So, remind me. This is where the steam comes in here.
See this? This steam comes in here and converts it to hot water. That is for the heat. That is for heating in this. That is heating this coil right here.
This is the heat. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And what was this one again?
And this one is steam for your humidification.
Right,
So
Yeah,
this
so
is
you
just
have 2 steam generators in here.
got it. Heat exchanger
And
for
and that
hot
would
water.
be, a lot of times they'll call that a converter, right? And this will be a humidifier.
is this like a little vent on top of the heat exchanger here? It's
Say
like
that
a-
again, sir?
Is this a vent?
That is a vent for the water side, yes.
Okay.
So there's a steam side and a water side.
Okay.
And then this is our control panel
Oh, wow.
for our humidifier, for our steam generator.
Mhm.
So what I showed the guys, these 3 switches are what they wanna play with.
Mhm.
And off the side there's a switch position chart.
Mhm.
If they're in here and they're working, rather than going on, cause I see you got backnet connected to it,
Mhm.
you're gonna take and instead of them going on the computer, they can actually manually override and say, hey, I wanna flush this,
Mhm.
I wanna fill it. They can manually do that, make sure all those valves work,
Mhm.
right? Cause that was a problem, is they would say, you know, if they're just controlling with backnet, guys would come in, I don't have a computer, can't look at it, right? They can do that, they can manually flush it, manually fill it, make sure it works. Okay. Okay, questions on that one?
Is there like an EOS to align the system, or that you all turn over to the guys at the end of this? That's just it's a
What are you
lot
talking-
of valves, pumps. I mean, it's a
Well, Brian, as part of our closeout, we have to provide as-bills,
Okay.
training, manuals, any
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
information on warranty. So that's definitely
That'll
on,
be in.
that's the hard, I can't close this.
Okay.
That's the hard part of.
So I had told the guys that Armstrong humidifiers is another one that's been around, it's nothing that's odd.
I know
So you
they're
do,
for pumps, but-
yes, Armstrong Humidifier US, that's the website. AN.com has manuals for the units. Runfoss USA will have the pumps,
Okay.
okay, and Yaskawa,
for the
again,
VFDs, yeah.
there's
Oh,
VFDs, right?
Okay.
So that cartridge for the water, do you replace the whole thing
Yeah.
or just the?
Yeah, so you
the
take that,
inner-
unscrew it, and then there's a cartridge inside there, just throw it away and put a new one in.
Oh, so you have
Like
to,
a
you don't rinse it.
filter, it's not a
Yeah.
carbon,
No,
it's
it's
just
just
a
a cartridge, yeah.
cartridge.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said, don't go hog wild on it, cause it's makeup water. If you're making up a bunch of water on this, you got some problems. You shouldn't be. That's why I said, the only reason why I said to do it at first, because whatever garbage is in the water, you know, in the system, that's gonna end up in there, right? That's why I said about that. But beyond that, once you get going, you know, I wouldn't worry about it too much. If it ends up every couple of years, it's fine. I wouldn't get too excited. I would just take a look at it and make sure it's okay.
There's gonna be a lot of steam generated here, how toasty is it gonna get in here at the guesstimate? I don't know if there's any, and maybe that's a her question.
That's a her question.
Venting.
Yes, yeah.
Cause then I'm concerned about exposing this, I don't know, to 100-degree Fahrenheit and expecting it to work flawlessly. Life expectancy and so on.
Yeah, normally these are pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, but these actually are pretty good units. Yeah. Then in the HEPA's, filters too. I don't know, you guys are gonna probably have to change those once a year, maybe every 2 years, depending. So, again, like I said, depending, I don't know how much you change that.
That one, yeah,
Yes.
that's gonna drive.
Yeah, cause that's, like I said, that's the difference thing, right? Yeah, and the temperature wise, I don't know how that's gonna be.
Going back to your point, we can have 100% intake, but then we're choking it as we're cleaning it through each module, right?
Yeah, well, this is designed to run the 100%, but I don't know what this is sized for. I don't know if your design, again, I'm just using a number. If it's 10,000 CFM, I don't know that coil is designed for 10,000 CFM
Mhm.
at -10 and 100,
Right,
100
that's
degrees.
what I mean by choking it.
Right,
We're
that's,
slowing
I
it
know,
down.
that's all in what the engineering side,
Yeah.
whoever
yeah.
spec that, yes.
All right, no, cool, thank you.
Yep, no problem.